Okay. You ready, Chad?
I am.
The mayor's August 14th, 2024 special city council meeting is called to order. Is there any declaration of conflict of interest? Declaration of interest. Thank you.
No.
No. All right. We have new business. If you haven't signed up, I'll ask you right now, do anyone want to make a 3-minute comment on our new business, which is public safety building location? Seeing none, are there any hands raised? Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion. I would like to make a motion that. Go ahead, Carol. As a council, that we take the Leslie Miller Park off as a consideration for the public safety building. It is a open space park and has been chosen to be that way, and people have responded in a positive way to keep it open. So my motion is that we take it off the table as far as a consideration.
Second that.
Is there any discussion about this?
Yes. So clarify for me what you mean by take it off. Or
Not going to consider it as a viable option.
okay, but so are we redoing the RFP? Are we
We
withdrawing?
will redo the RFP if we come up with another piece of property. And that's an addendum that we've already talked to Jesse, said it will be very easy to add to it because we're not doing any, we haven't done anything yet. We haven't engaged the architect and engineer. It'll be just like swapping out one property for another.
Okay,
The RFP was written in a way that we were looking for another location as well, so that could be a factor.
I know. I'm just asking, are we pulling our RFP back and starting clear or fresh again? Are we?
No, we're just going to add an addendum to it. It'd be like a third property, but only 2. Any other discussion? Dana, if you got a concern, let's,
Well, I do have a concern.
okay,
I mean, the law of non-contradiction says that 2 things can't be true, true and false at the same time. And we've said that we would have a public process, we'd have public engagement, and we'd allow people to be involved in this. And yet 5 people are gonna make a decision that will effectively take a location off, and we're saying we're not gonna consider the location. And even though it's not my preferred site and I don't wanna build at the park, I have people that are asking me, okay, so how, answer these questions about cost. And I can't answer their questions about cost. It's like we're doing a game of Price is Right and saying, pick door number 1, pick door number 2. And you don't know if behind door number 1 is a Winnebago and behind door number 2 is a Ferrari. And you are never going to, there are people that strongly want to build at the park. And you are never going to get them to turn around if they feel disenfranchised and they aren't even able to ask questions. Nothing in this RFP said we were going to build at the park. It said we were going to take it to the public and let them decide. So I'm not going to fight you on it. I know I don't have the votes to win. You guys are going to outvote me, and it is what it is. And I'm not saying that I want to build at the park. I'm saying I'm standing up for the people that wanted to be part of the decision making, and we promised them that they would.
I agree with you. But realistically, looking at what I've done in the last 10 years and the way I've voted for protecting the park with the Parks Master Plan and everything else that I've been a part of, I was reminded of this. And I changed my mind. I think it needs to come off because it is an open space. It is something that at one time I felt very strongly about. I still believe that. Just like the Highlands property, it's a viable place to build, but. I am not going to go. Against what I've already done. I believe it's. Consistent. And I made a mistake and I've admitted that, and that's what I'm going to stand by now, is I'm going to. Hold to my course.
Well, and hats off to you for that, and I respect that, I really do. It takes a big person to step up and say, whoops, I made a mistake. But here's the problem I see down the road. You also voted in 2019. In July 2019, in fact, two people sitting on this council now voted to create a tsunami overlay and say that was going to be important to the community. And in that tsunami overlay and in that comprehensive plan, those comprehensive plan additions, you said that there were certain goals that were going to be community goals that were going to be important, things like let's find a place for an evacuation tower for people that can't get to high ground. You said a variety of things, and those were all lofty and very important goals, and I get it. And what I don't understand is, why weren't you considering that when it came, how did the 2022 decision to create a parks master plan? And I dug deep into that after you brought that up. I thought, oh, okay, maybe I need to understand this a little bit more. And when I looked at that, I saw that then in 2022, you voted to say in the fine print of that nothing can be built at the park. That is the only high ground that this community owns. The only high ground that we own. And you said the only thing that could ever be built there would be stairs and landscaping, which, okay, so we're gonna preserve that as an ocean view, I know. But what I'm saying is, you changed your mind. Might something come along that might change your mind again, because we have 4 town halls. We have 4 town halls, and in those town halls, people said that cost was a much bigger consideration for them than location. And in fact, a couple of people even said, when they mentioned of the few people that mentioned location, when it was just thrown out there like, what's your obstacle of location, at least 1/3 of the people said if it was built in an inundation zone or on low ground, they'd have a problem with it. Now, I understand that that's a whole bigger argument that this community deserves to have, and they're not gonna be able to have, the pros and cons of the park. I get it, we're not gonna have that conversation now, I know. But what I'm asking is this: our comprehensive plan says that we're gonna involve the public in our decision-making and in our planning. And then even when you guys took the vote on the comprehensive plan, Rita even gave a second to that and said, yes, let's go forward with this, but we want it to say more about public, notifying the public and involving the public and letting them know. And then now you're saying, well, they can't even have a conversation about this. This is a planning decision that we are effectively 5 of us are gonna make. And while I have no reason to sit here and argue with you. And tomorrow they're gonna be on Facebook saying Dana says she wants it at the park. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're gonna lose some people. You're counting on everybody just saying, okay, we'll build it at that location or whatever location you deem. And you thought that was gonna happen in 2022 also. That's why you voted for that parks master plan that said they could never build the park. That's why that area up there was cut off. And I'm just saying, that's not the type of decision-making I like. I like open, long-term decision-making where you're considering what could happen and what ifs and everything else. And yes, we are open to changing our minds, but we don't cut ourselves off either. And we allow the community to feel like they are making the decision instead of us.
So I'm a little confused, because I was never asked, at least I'm pretty sure as a counselor, I was never asked if I even felt like the park should be considered. So that decision to have the park be considered as a site was somehow made in your guys' meeting, or I don't know how that decision was made. I was never asked. So
Do you not remember voting on the RFP?
I voted on the
Did you read the
RFP.
RFP before you voted on it? Did you know what was in it? before you
Dana,
voted on it?
Please, be
Well,
respectful.
no, please, I am being respectful.
you're
You
not.
just accused
Okay,
me
okay.
of making me, of making secret decisions, and we didn't. Nobody made a secret decision, and nobody has made a
I
decision
am
about the
saying,
location.
I was
Tonight.
never
Tonight will
asked.
be the first decision that is made about actual location.
May I finish?
Please do.
I'm saying I was never asked. To my knowledge, I don't think Rita was ever asked about what she felt about having the park be a location. I don't disagree that having the information from the park as a location would have been valuable. I already said that. But my feeling, my strong feeling is that this has caused so much angst and upset in our community that it's not worth it. And I had a conversation this week with one of the foremost citizens who wanted it as the park site. And I said, how do you think the citizens who want the park as a site, how do you think they're gonna feel if we take, if it's not considered anymore? And she said, well, I think they might, she said, I think they'll be disappointed, but I understand. Because she too knows about the angst and the upset and the anger around it. So, those are just my 2 points. I would love to have had that comparison. So I would like to throw out an idea at some point about having a comparison.
Well, I'd like to say something before you throw that
Go ahead.
comparison out. When the park and this location was put on the list of possible properties, it was done because there are only 2 properties that we owned in this city. And yes, it is the highest ground. It is a good choice next to the Highlands property that was voted down. But because of what I have voted for and the opposition that I have heard about it, the park even being considered, I feel it's beneficial to try and heal some of the divide in Gearhart by taking it off and not using it as a possible solution to our problem.
I understand that.
And having said that, yes, I'm changing my mind. I admit that. It's just there's no easy way around this because there's so many people that are against using the park. And I know there's people that said, if it isn't built on at the park or somewhere higher, they wouldn't vote for this. And I'm not sad. I'm disappointed that this is the way it's going to work out, but Gearhart is such. It can be so divisive over such minor things. And I know some people would say the park isn't a minor thing, but in the overall picture, it is a minor thing. We can enhance the park. We can do all this other stuff that we talked about. But what it is people have to feel that they're being heard. And the majority of people that I've talked to and have talked to me have indicated if you take the park out of the equation, they will be much more open to what we need to do to get this station built. And that's why I'm doing this.
Well, I'm not gonna continue to argue with you. I know that there's a lot of noise about including the park. And I can see why you would want to remove, it from there. I am not arguing that. All I'm saying is, I wish the public was making this decision. I wish we'd at least had a public hearing to make this decision.
Well, I respect your thoughts on that, Dana, and it would probably be a lot better to go that route, and I didn't think of going with a public hearing. What I wanted to do was end the turmoil in the city as much as I could, so we could move forward and do something. Because one thing that I would like to do is see our police and our fire have something that will keep them here.
Well, we all want that. We
I know that.
disagree on that. This is just one of the arguments we're gonna have. I said that in every town hall we have. This is the first argument. This isn't even the biggest argument. The real argument we're gonna have later is cost. How much is it going to cost?
Right.
And we can't answer critical questions about cost. We can't answer right now. We can't even say how the FEMA buyout decision is going to impact this. We can't say how much it's going to cost to relocate temporarily or permanently some of the things that we're gonna have to do. We can't answer some of the questions that were thrown out in the town hall the other day about, will this increase the price of the bond? Are we gonna have to get a higher insurance rate for this bond? Are we, how is this going to affect our ability to get grants? There are a lot of unknowns yet that people deserve to be, if people could just ask those questions and you could give them a simple answer to it or something that makes some sense, you might get them to change their mind. But right now, there's some people sitting at home going, okay, I was told there'd be a public engagement process and now there's not. So it can't be a public engagement process that's not a public engagement process. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, I believe we are having a public engagement process. I don't believe this decision necessarily warrants a hearing or a public engagement session, because there is so much turmoil over this one subject. If we can get beyond that, we might be able to get something this next 6 months. And that's what I'm hoping for. But I understand and I respect your opinion, because that's, again, you look at things a lot differently than I do. And it's, it would have been nice if I was able to have a meeting with the council and talk openly about these things, instead of just going, well, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to do, because that's the way it is. And that's not necessarily something that needs to be the way we do business, but that is the way I'm not going to do this. Because I believe strongly that this needs to come off the table.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you didn't do that, because then we'd have a problem about that process
Well,
and your authority to do that. So
okay, so there's is there any more discussion? Any discussion from this side of the tables? Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Peter, do you have anything you want to say?
No, this is purely a political decision. The RFP can be easily amended.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of taking the park off as an item for building the public safety building, say aye. Aye. Against?
I'm gonna abstain.
Abstain? Okay. All right. Anyone wishing to talk about new business, about a property acquisition discussion? Or public safety building or public works facility? Anyone on screen wishing to raise their hand? DEBP. What is that?
Actually, that's Deb Douglas.
Okay. Deb, is that you?
Yes, thank you. Is there any way that we can bring the Highlands property back into this conversation down the road? I know
We
that
have,
it was turned down because of the expense of the structure, but it is at a higher elevation, and the structural costs probably would be a lot less than the existing location. I'd like to have it on the table just as a comparison. So the people would know, just for instance, like what was said at the town hall, there are hidden structural costs that might come up in regards to the footings. It's on fill, it's in a tsunami zone, and on and on and on. But the Highlands property doesn't have all of those things, so the money would be put into the structure. Is there a possibility of bringing that back on board?
Deb, at this time, I don't believe we have a verbal or a written agreement with the builders of the Highlands property. Peter, do we have anything like that?
No, there have been ongoing conversations with them. We were waiting until the governor's housing bill passed because that impacts our ability to do a urban growth boundary swap. So that those laws have been clarified. We do have the answer with that for that. And then my other understanding of what we were waiting on before we revisited that was also whether we would be given the additional water rights. Because
That's
I think
correct.
some people had expressed some concerns about expanding, adding buildable lands to our urban growth boundary that could be urbanized without at a high with more units, more water required. So we were kind of waiting to see how that process played out, and then at that point, I was going to re-engage with them and kind of bring you our options so that you could make an informed choice.
Well, I'm sure that all of that could be figured out quickly or relatively quickly. I'm thinking of the Highlands, especially because of the small footprint downtown, in possibly splitting the program where some services would be at Highland and some here. That might be, a feasible option for the design architect when he starts, putting the square footages together. I just think it'd be nice to have this as a second option.
Thank you, Deb. That will be taken and we'll think about it. But as Peter pointed out, we have just gotten our application into a water resource board. And as far as we know, we don't even have a position in the queue yet. We haven't been given a number or a position, like we're 5th or 10th in line. So that's something we can revisit after we possibly know where we are, because that is a process that is going to take probably a year or two in order to get our water rights filled up. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that what Chris was saying?
It could be.
It could be.
It could be, and we're just finishing a review of that application process that will be submitted soon.
Okay, well, thank you, Deb. I'm gonna go on to Deanna Mansell. It's 3 minutes, Chad.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Do they need to state their address?
Oh, Deanna, please state your name and address. I forgot to ask Deb to do that.
Okay, I'm good. I think,
Ask me if we can hear you.
can you hear me now? I was muted.
Yes, we can hear you now.
My name is Deanna Mansell. I'm at 2945 Highway 101 North, Gearhart. I wanted to speak about Gearhart's water right application and how the Highlands is not even going to be a viable option in the next 2 or 3 years. I'd like to explain a little bit about the process. I talked with Dwight French at the Water Resources Board last week, and I was inquiring about the process that Gearhart is faced with. Once Gearhart's application is submitted, it goes into the technical review with the water resources staff. And then, as I understand it, they'll be working with Gearhart's groundwater consultants, but then within a year or two, there's a process called initial review, and a groundwater reviewer will look at Gearhart's water right, and he will make a recommendation as to whether Gearhart will be able to get a water right. And complicating this issue is the fact that Nicoxie Creek is a Division 33 rule that makes ODFW and DEQ be involved in the process. So they will have a recommendation as to their concerns about the threatened coho salmon species in Nicoxie Creek. So after the initial review and ODFW is involved, then there is a public comment period for anyone to comment on the water right application.
30 seconds,
And-
Deanna.
Okay, so then it goes into proposed final order, and then the rest is a final order. And all of this is going to take at least 2 or 3 years. So I don't want you to put the Highlands on the table. So thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. Is there anyone else in the video audience wants to raise their hand?
I would like to say something just to hopefully get out correct information. So that area, that Highlands area, already is in our water services area. So if there are dwellings that are built there, we, per our adopted water services agreement that predates me, we're required to provide them with services. The only question is, at what level of density are they developing? Like, are they developing within the county zoning, which would be far less density than the city's R1 zone, which is the likely zoned, what the zoning would likely be. So it's not providing water to that area if it urbanizes is not an option. The only thing within our control is whether it's within the city or within the unincorporated county zoning.
Thank you, Peter.
Wait, so
Peter, I have to disagree with you. Okay.
I mean, I'm wrong all the time, but I don't think I'm wrong about this.
We're not gonna expand our urban growth boundary until we have 100% water rights out front. Okay, I don't care how much you want more income coming into this city. I will fight you all the way. It's just like you tried to get the guy up there in the Palisades, to annex in one person so that you could get what, a couple $100?
Well, that's a decision that the council made, not my decision. I tell you what your legal options are, and then whatever three of you want to do, I then get my marching orders and act.
Okay, there's legal and then there's right and wrong. I want to keep reminding you of that, all right?
Well, we are legally, if they develop 2-acre sites in that area, if they put a house on 2 acres, we're required to give them water under our water services agreement.
No, they can drill their own wells and have their own system.
If they ask us for water, we must provide it to them.
They have the right to drill their own wells.
I didn't
Which
say
then,
they didn't.
listen, which then takes away from our right for our well field. I don't know why we're having this
I am
discussion.
just trying to put out accurate information as far as what your options are, what your options are not. I am not suggesting you do anything. I'm saying if they brought you an application for water, if they brought us an application for water because they decided to build on 2-acre lots, we would need to provide them with water.
If it's the law, this
If
is why we have.
they want to
fees.
drill their own well, that's their own purview.
You don't shoot the messenger, please. All right. So the discussion is about a potential property acquisition, and on Thursday, we were approached after Wednesday's city council meeting saying that this family had a 1-acre site, 2 parcels at just over a ½ acre each on the highway with a house. And for me, I looked at it and I went, that would be a great place for public works. We can move public works in the back there. We could have our temporary storage for the fire department. And Bob, you made a very generous offer, and there's nothing I would rather do except for what we have to build to incorporate and protect our equipment would become your property. That's Oregon law for when you rent a property. And as far as I'm concerned, it would behoove us to acquire a piece of property and build there, and then have the finished product turn into public works when we finish the fire station here. Sure, Bob, go ahead.
Kerry, first of all, I don't know anything about the property or where it's located, so I don't know if Chad can show us a map. Can we look at bunch of that?
Yeah,
Pass it to us so we can just,
yeah, will do.
one thing just gets down to price. I mean, make sure before you do that, you touch base with me. I've got 3 acres on the east side of the fence that we have there. Some of it, which is suitable and can tie into Herschel and the like, where you can do something. This 3 acres, so it's a lot more than 1 acre on Highway 101. And it's stuff that we're just going to look at for the next 20 years. So before you go, give me some information, let's come back and we may have another solution for you to look at.
That's great, that's fine. It's just, what I'm asking from the council is not that we go out and buy this, that we do due diligence. We look at the house. Could it possibly house interim firefighters during the summertime when they don't have any place to rent around here? What could it be used for? And is it big enough and secure it? Well, we would have to fence it, but could we secure it enough so Public Works and the fire department could be housed there temporarily? And that's all I'm asking from the council tonight, is if I could get a motion to just have Chad go out and, of course, the council take a look at this building and this lot, walk around and find out if it's even a viable thing for the city to look into. Seriously.
And so you're not looking at this for the public safety building at all on that location?
It's temporary.
Yeah, just temporary.
Yeah, and we're gonna have temporary. I mean, we're gonna lose our public works, we're gonna lose the fire station if we build here, if that's where people choose to build. Yes.
Is there any way that Bob could go look at that with Chad, or is that? Could he go with Chad to look at that?
Or,
Just because he kind of knows that stuff. He's, might make us a counter offer, and so.
yes, sir.
Is the officer here? I thought Chief would be here.
Welcome to attend.
Yeah, a little bit late, so sit back here.
Fireworks were earlier, so you.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't need you, thank goodness.
Short.
I mean, I don't know if that would be appropriate, but if Bob.
Well, let's the council and Chad, let us look at it and even. We can't talk about it. But we can talk to Chad and let him know what we think, and maybe there is some common ground that we can come to. But I think it's a council decision, and that's what I'm asking is, will the council authorize Chad to contact the people and take a look at the property and do some due diligence to see if this is a viable thing for us?
I move that we authorize Chad to go and do our due diligence and that we have public input and engagement on it.
Okay,
Second that.
there's a motion and a second. Does anyone want to have a discussion? More than we've already had?
I'm afraid.
You're feared?
Okay,
Would you like me to go over any information on this?
you can put it up on the screen if you would like.
Sure, just to kind of get the public
Yes,
up on what it is that we're considering, and we're not even really considering anything, this has just been initial conversations, there's been no offers made, I'm not authorized to make any offers on
that's fine.
behalf of the city council at this point. And so this would just be more of a fact-finding, informational, quest, if you will. Let me see if I can share my screen here and get that up. And there we are.
And this was just offered to the city on Thursday.
You folks,
Is that Thursday?
I believe I heard from him on Thursday.
I'll show you. I'll show you. So here is downtown Gearhart, and as you know, Gearhart is land poor. We have very little land in Gearhart. This is the current location of the fire station, police station, city hall. This currently sits on about 45,000 square feet. I'm sorry, I have the FEMA flood layers turned on here. One of the issues, again, and we can discuss this, Bob, is just that east part area has a lot of zone AE, but I know that there's some workarounds and some spaces available on there. This particular location is right here. Now I'm going to turn the FEMA flood zone layers off because we can see that this site is in zone X anyway, and I'll make it a little easier to see. This is the Ordway property located on Highway 101 next to Dollar General and next to the art gallery near Pacific Way and Highway 101. It's a piece of property, it's two pieces of property. Lot 1 is 0.51 acres. That's this one with the home on it. This home has been used both, I think, as a home and commercially. There was an art supply store there. There was a office building there for New Capital. There was also a photo shop or photography place there. This particular lot that the family's also talking this to is 0.54 acres. So there's 1.05 acres for a total of 45,700 square feet, which is the approximate amount of square footage that the current city hall, fire station, public works, and police station are on. The current use, let's see here, the zoning classification on this is C2, which is our general commercial. There is a permitted use under C2 for government facilities. It's listed as a conditional use. Conditional uses are generally approved after undergoing the required process. Conditions may be imposed to ensure appropriate use and minimize impacts on neighboring properties. It's estimated that a conditional use will be granted for a public safety building or whatever else that the city council, whether it be public works, or as somebody else was talking earlier about potentially dividing police and fire up, it could potentially be used for all of those things. I'm not heading in any direction. This is of course up to the council. The C2 zoning also allows for a conditional use for a triplex or multi-family dwelling. And that could, potentially be used for housing for folks. Maybe an interim program if we decided to keep the house, if we did purchase this and use it for something else. Or that house could be torn down and the entire site could be used. There are 2 lots available, as we already talked about. It's assumed both lots would be available to the city if chosen as a site. The elevation on this, the highest point is about 21 feet. The lowest point is at 19.5 feet. The current fire, police station, city hall are at an elevation of 27 feet to 28 feet. There are no wetlands on this site. The closest wetlands is a couple of 100 feet away in this area here where the trees are at. These properties are located, as I said before, in the FEMA flood zone X. Both the current fire station and the park location are also in FEMA flood zone X. So it's not in the AE zone. I've had some conversations with our planner Gearhart, and he says, well, if you're looking at all of these new FEMA buyout rules and things like that, there's a lot yet to be discovered on this process. And I can understand where a lot of people would be very anxious about this, but we would also be surprised if there would be a lot of regulation on the X zone within our communities, because that is out of the 100-year flood zone. So we're not sure exactly which way that's going to go. It's got great highway access to it as a positive. As a negative, it is close to, well, potential negative. It's close to the intersection, so getting in and out can be challenging for those of you that are trying to make a left-hand turn into Dollar General. You know what I'm talking about. The good part about it is, though, is it is on the east side of the highway, so during lights, if lights were on, that piece of the highway would be mostly vacated because people would be stopped in this part of the highway. This location is in the medium tsunami inundation zone, similar to the current site that we have right here. And the park site is in the large tsunami inundation zone. Septic systems, site is likely candidate for septic with its elevation. I don't see many problems there. We don't know for sure though. And that's just the basic report that I have. I've had conversations with a member of the Ordway family. They are motivated to sell to the city. They would like to sell to the city if at all possible. We haven't really discussed rates other than they said they would like to get the real market value out of these 2 pieces of property. They would like to sell them together. They've been a part of the city for many years, and they know the situation that we've been in with our site issues and would love to help out if that's at all possible. They are going to sell this site eventually. It's not currently on the market. I think that's what I have for a report, unless there is any questions.
Okay, are there any questions?
Not yet.
Okay. So we got a motion and a second. I believe if there's no discussion, we can call for a vote. All those in favor of Chad doing due diligence and getting information to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay,
I'll work with my team up. Thank you.
thank you. Is there any council concerns at this time? Yes.
I just wanted to throw this out to everybody. I don't know if it has any merit or not. It's just an idea that I had. I'm wondering if it would help the public for us to, well, not us, but the architects and the engineer who are going to give us the approximate cost for a building at the present site. I'm wondering if it would be helpful for the public to be given a basic facility cost, medium facility costs, and a facility cost that's has more amenities to it. In other words, 3 choices that they could look at and think about instead of just one. I just wanted to throw that out to everybody. I just think about it and
Okay,
I think that's a really good suggestion.
you do? Oh my God.
well, I'm glad we're all in a good mood now. All right, anyone else got a concern?
I have no concern.
No? Braxton, motion, please.
Give you a motion to end the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for coming out, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Did you get your key?